this morning. We really appreciate it in advance of the next round of the NASCAR playoffs. We will just open for questions in the time that we have with William. If you have a question, a friendly reminder, raise your hand within the Zoom platform, and we'll call on as many as we can in the time that we have. And also, audio and video will be recorded and posted as well. So, to kick us off, we are going to start with Jason Brown. Go ahead, Jason.
Thank you. Good morning, William. Good to see you. Obviously, you had a nice finish at Las Vegas earlier in the season. You get to start off third this time around. Just two top tens at that track. But the fact that you've had some success, how does that, I guess, maybe help the mindset going into this next round of the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Las Vegas has been a pretty good track for me in the past. I've scored a lot of stage points in the past races, and just have to finish it off. Like you said, I think that, the aggression level is going to be really high on the restarts, and that's kind of your chance to make up ground for a lot of guys at mile-and-a-half tracks with the 550 horsepower. So, yeah, I think those are going to be crazy, and I feel like my spotter and I have been working, really hard on trying to be good at those restarts, and I think we're good at Michigan. I think we've been good at the last few 550 tracks. So pretty excited for Las Vegas based on, our past history and the way we've been running on those tracks.
Okay, our next question is going to come from Alex Andrea. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, William. I'm just curious if there's anything that you feel like you can take from that latest race at Bristol, being 18 points below the cut line and then coming out and basically emerging above the cut line. Anything you can take from that run and sort of apply to the rest of this playoffs?
Oh, I think for sure. I think for us, we've already kind of been through that pressure moment. A lot of guys maybe haven't that we're racing against been through that. So, yeah, I feel like for us, we learned a lot about ourselves on Sunday or Saturday, and I feel like we learned a lot about how we can come through under pressure and how we can bring a good race car, how we can execute a race really well. So it's been a little while since we've had as strong a race as that, throughout, and no mistakes. And there's always adversity in a race, but I felt like we handled the adversity that we did have really well, and brought home a third place. So, with that being said, Las Vegas is a lot different than short track, but I do feel like the way we did perform is going to carry over.
And then I'm just kind of curious, like, what do you think you're going to remember about that race, or where does it sort of rank for you, like, career-wise?
It's pretty high up there. I think, I was saying this after the race. I feel like, I had a similar situation to make it in last year into the playoffs in general, with my first win. So that was a big deal. But yeah, this one was pretty awesome. I think, anytime you can do well at Bristol, it's been a good track for me, but I haven't had the finishes, and it was nice to be there at the end of 500 laps and have a shot to win, honestly, and be able to be really close and see the leaders. So I think that was really cool for me and kind of a new feeling. So I was excited. I love that night race, and every driver really does. So it was cool to do well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question is going to come from Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, William, do you guys break down the playoffs so deep that, like, you kind of have an idea of how many points you want to score in the round, how many points you feel like you need to score this weekend at Las Vegas, or do you not get that in deep because it all kind of somewhat depends on what other people do?
I think the team for sure does. I think they definitely kind of know what to expect points wise that can help us advance through the rounds. But I think that honestly, just the biggest thing is just having a really good race. In the first round, I think having one really good race is almost enough, and two average. But I think this race, you've got to have two or three really good races. So, it's just, the stage points create such a different playing field. If you get a lot of stage points, you put yourself in a way better position, and you put a good finish on top of that, and you're well above a lot of guys. So I think that's the biggest thing I focus on, is trying to get those stage points and try to put myself in a good spot for the end.
And speaking of that, looking ahead to next week at Talladega, how do you play trying to jockey for stage points and hope to avoid a big one earlier in the race instead of?
It's tough. I mean, I think the wrecks and the stages are possible, but I honestly feel like you just got to go as hard as you can. I've tried to play the lane back and getting to the front and all that. And there's times that you can chill out just because of the momentum of the race isn't maybe that important in that time, but you got to try to go for those stage points and put yourself in a good spot. So for me personally, I think I try to go for the points and see what can happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our next question is going to come from Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. William, there would be some people who would say that with this round that Vegas is the most predictable one because you look at Talladega and you look at the Roval for the uncertainty. Others are saying that actually, Vegas is more unpredictable than the Roval, that the Roval has become, everybody kind of knows what's there, and maybe Vegas is more unpredictable because of the restarts. How do you look at how predictable or straightforward is Vegas? Is it a predictable race, or is it more of a wild card race than most people think?
I think just because it's the first race of the round, I think it adds some unpredictability there. I feel like a lot of guys can have early mistakes or mishaps at this first race of the round. Very easy to kind of take yourself out of it pretty early on. So I think as far as speed and performance goes, I think you kind of know who the big hitters are going to be at this race with the 5 and, hopefully us and, some of the Gibbs cars, and just knowing kind of who's run well at the mile and a halves. But that doesn't really tell the whole story, because I feel like, it can come down to restarts and then anybody can win basically. So, I think that you've just got to put yourself in a good position, and then you've got to go, do really well in those restarts. And that's probably what it's going to come down to. So, it's tough. I mean, Las Vegas isn't as straightforward as we used to think it was. So, and then I think the Roval is definitely tough because, road courses are difficult as they are to get through traffic and all those things. But I definitely look at Talladega as the most unpredictable, and the other two, you somewhat control what you do.
Also, you and others have talked about restarts. What is the key there? Is it getting the shifts right at the start? Is it controlling your emotions? I mean, look, if somebody cuts me off on the road, I'm upset, but that's happening every few seconds with you guys. How do you, take me inside the car. What are the things that matter? How do you feel like you've gotten better, or what you've, improved upon in those sense?
Yeah, I think it's just obviously aggression, but it's just anticipation, honestly, trying to anticipate where the runs are going to come from. The more you watch tape and the more you kind of understand, what's happened in the past, the better prepared you are for kind of what scenario is going to happen. But it's honestly comes down to, anticipation and having a spotter that, knows what runs are going to come and is preparing you for it. And I feel like Tab and I have worked a lot on that over the past, 6 months to a year. And I think that attributes a lot of our, you've got to be up front at the mile and a half to have success. And a lot of that comes from restarts and kind of holding your track position and things like that. So it's important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next question is going to come from Chase Wilhelm. Go ahead, Chase.
Hey, William, thanks for joining us. Earlier, you said that y'all learned a lot about each other as a team after Bristol, making that great run to continue in the playoffs. I'm curious, how would you assess how you and Rudy have been working together so far this year? What's been going great for y'all? What do you feel like you need to improve on between the two of you?
Yeah, I think no, that's a good question. I feel like honestly, the thing with Rudy and I has just been experience. I think we're trying to learn so much in a quick time. A lot of the teams and drivers we're racing against have worked together for a couple of years now, and that has hurt us a little bit with no practice, but I feel like we've kind of overcome that with really good communication. And we have a lot of meetings throughout the week about setup and what we want to do going to the racetrack. And although we don't have time to really practice it, I feel like we show up really, really strong. So I think that's been an adjustment, but I mean, I feel like we've done really well in pressure situations and opportunities to win. I mean, he knows how to push my buttons and knows how to get the most out of me. And I think as any crew chief, that's the biggest thing, is trying to get everything you can out of your driver. And I feel like he's done a really good job of kind of knowing how to do that with me, and showed that at Bristol. I think, had good communication throughout the race and didn't let the pressure get to us and make, crazy decisions, and had a really good race.
Thank you, Will. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question is going to come from Kelly Kringle. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you. Hey, William, I have two for you. Kind of along this same path about the team. You guys were top 5 in points through the regular season, one of the more consistent teams. So was this first round at all, did it surprise you at how stressful it turned out to be?
Yeah, I mean, definitely it kind of got turned on its side when everything happened at Darlington. I think, Darlington seems like years ago now that we've been through the last 2 weeks. But, just thinking back to that race and how much we overcame, and then to have a flat tire and crash after that was just devastating. I think that, we thought we put ourselves in a good position to kind of overcome all that. And then Richmond, we just kind of, laid an egg and wasn't really that fast. And that was a big bummer too. But we overcame it at Bristol and had a really good run and kind of set the tone for the rest of our year. So it's been it was a tough stretch for, 6 to 7 weeks of just not getting the finishes, but we've had the speed, and I feel like now we're going to get the finishes.
So after Bristol, once you guys make it through, it came down to the wire. Do you and Rudy just kind of get everybody to reset, have everybody take a breath, or has it just been business as usual and you don't really feel the need to have to remind everybody to kind of just refocus?
Well, I think a little bit of both. I think it was nice to have Sunday to kind of reflect and have that off time. I know the guys worked on the car still, but I think everyone kind of got a chance to breathe and reset. So don't feel like we'll have any issues kind of, showing up to Vegas fresh and ready. We've got an extra day this week to really recover and get prepared. So I feel like we're going to be ready when we get on the plane and go out there. And I don't think that'll be an issue.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our next question is going to come from Michael Sheldon. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you very much. Well, William, I was just wondering if you could possibly set the mood for the entire Hendrick Motorsports camp after the rough start at Darlington, and then going out, and then last week at Bristol with Kyle winning, you coming in third, Chase Elliott sticking up for himself, if you will, and Alex Bowman making 4 Hendrick cars, moving on to the round of 12. What's the mood like now in the Hendrick Motorsports camp?
Well, I think there's a lot of strength, in the individual teams, but obviously the whole company and the race cars that we're capable of bringing to the racetrack. So, yeah, we had a difficult stretch there, with the start of the playoffs. And then, I would say, half of our guys ran well at Richmond, and then we all ran well at Bristol. And that was a really good sight to see, because, Bristol's a tough place, and, it can really be hard on you. So, yeah, I think we're poised to do really good things, and, we've overcame some things, and there'll be a lot more as we go through the playoffs.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. And William, before we let you go, just a quick preview question heading into Charlotte in a couple of weeks. Obviously, you are the hometown driver, so to speak, being from Charlotte, but what does it mean to be able to have a race that has that hometown connection for you in the NASCAR playoffs?
Oh, it's amazing. I love going to Charlotte every year to race. I feel like I always have a really warm welcome there, and it's a really important racetrack to me. So would love to win there this year, and feel like, I've got the opportunity to this year with the way we've been on road courses. So pretty excited for it, and just have to go there and perform well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, and we wish you the best of luck this weekend in Vegas.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right.